If any of us start getting a little long-winded or whatever the case may be, and I ask you to headline it, I'm not doing that out of disrespect, just help make that meeting move a little smoother for us. Patty's gonna open it up for us, and then I believe Nick's gonna take over.
First item on the agenda is, hold on, our fee schedule.
Yes.
And Nick will talk about the fee schedule and the potential changes to that.
All right, good evening. Yes, Nick David, Finance Director and Town Treasurer. I included in tonight's packet, there were 3 versions of the fee schedule. The current version was the first one. Then there was a, highlighted version that showed the changes, strike throughs on items that were being removed. And then the third version is a draft of that fee schedule with the changes that are being presented. So just a few changes this year. Most of them are simplifications, just to simplify the schedule. A couple adds that come from the town code that were not there previously. So I'll just go through them really quick. The annual vendor fee has been removed from special events. It's already covered with business license fees. We did add some additional text in the special events, tying those to the business license and liquor license sections, which also apply to special events. Snow removal has been changed, but there was no increase. It was the wording was just changed. Nuisance abatement was reduced to 5%, which is state statute. So at some point code will need to be updated as well. Core requests and liquor licenses. We reduced the spelling out the fees and changed the wording to maximum allowed by state statute. That's the practice of the town. We've always updated the fee to be in alignment with the state statute or with the liquor laws. And this just will reduce the number of times that needs to be updated. It ties it directly to the state. We did remove a fee for notary. That's a service that's provided to the community at no cost. We added some code sections and clarifications in the business licenses section. The peddler and handbill license, we're just listing the annual, which is the most commonly requested. Annual fee is most commonly requested. And it was updated in alignment with other Northern Colorado municipalities. Pawnbrokers and secondhand dealer fee was added, which is already referenced in the town code. I've discussed the liquor licenses, and then mitigation was added to demolition and mitigation to change in title only. We do get some requests for those. So as a reminder, impact and capital investment fees are not being discussed with this update. Those are part of the municipal utility rates and fees update that comes here shortly. So those are the changes, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Yes, sir.
Just a quick question. I assume then that all the state statutes list all of these fees and the amounts.
Correct.
Good.
Yep.
Actually, it doesn't. That was one of my questions. Under the state of Colorado Liquor Enforcement Division fee schedule, the new liquor license application fee says up to 1,000 or 1,100. So I think that we need to still have that clarification for new liquor license and concurrent review, as those specifically state that they're up to a certain amount and not a specific amount.
Right, so the actual fee schedule says that license fees are equal to the maximum allowed by state. So if it's up to a certain dollar amount, it would be that dollar amount that it's up to.
Got it. So, but just for clarity, if someone's looking at how much it would cost, would it state the specific amount or say go to, or would it go to the Colorado?
It's not an interactive fee schedule. It's not like an interactive document. When requested, we would look up what the maximum is to let them know that the state says that this is the maximum and that's the town's fee.
Got it. So would it be of benefit to have it already so someone doesn't have to reach out and they just know the cost?
Well, so these are related to the new liquor licenses and concurrent review, some of
Mhm.
those. And they really need, people who are submitting those application types need to meet with the town clerk to understand the application process, the procedures and things like that. When I talked to Hannah about it, because I had the same questions as you, she said, really best practices for people to come in, talk to me, or make a phone call, send me an email, and I'll provide the information that's available. So, just because the liquor code does change, I mean, the state does change those fees on the regular. So we hate to have to bring back this fee schedule every time the state determines they need to increase or decrease those fees.
Got it.
I got questions. Dumb question. What is this? There's a couple places where you have actual cost of abatement plus 5%.
So the nuisance abatement, that's gonna be weed removal.
Okay.
So we would hire that out and whatever
Oh.
that costs.
These are anything that we hire out to get done. Okay, perfect. And the last thing, on our marijuana fees, are we pretty much competitive or about the same as what the other municipalities are? Are we less, or we more, or what on that?
I don't have an answer for that. I'd have to look that up.
Cause I think before when we first started it, we were quite a bit less, I was
Okay.
thinking.
Mhm,
We were, that was before my time, but I know it has been revised.
mhm.
Um,
So we'll have-
and there were no proposed changes this year.
but we-
Okay.
it's certainly something we can check.
I think, yes.
Did we not increase that to the maximum allowable by the ordinance or
I didn't think
resolution
we
that
had.
was
That's what I
passed?
thought we
I
did.
believe we did.
Too, which was that 2,500, unless they've upped it again.
Yeah, they may have
And if
changed it,
that
so we'll have to look.
changes, it'll be great to know, so
Mhm.
then we can up it again if need be.
Right, sure.
Okay, got it. Making a note.
That's all my questions.
It seems odd that you'd have maximum allowable by the state and everything except the liquor licenses, so.
Right.
So,
Well, I think the thing is, the liquor license, the state can update that multiple times a year. And for us to bring that fee schedule back to change that dollar amount, I mean, I guess they could technically do it with marijuana and things of that nature too, but historically speaking, they haven't. Historically speaking, with alcohol, they have. So I think it's just for ease of functionality with them. And for that, that's what I gathered.
and there are, as you all know, a lot of different liquor license types.
Yeah.
So to identify all of those and then keep up with any of them that changes.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not talking about the liquor license. I just said, I was just thinking
Just how-
throughout the fee
Keep it
schedule,
consistent.
Fee
saying,
schedule, if there's a
you're saying that-
statutory, yep,
follow the statutory maximums, except when you
Okay.
get to marijuana, then you're like, okay, here's the numbers.
got it.
But I
Okay.
figure anyone who's gonna do a marijuana store is gonna have to come in and see.
I mean, it's the same thing, yeah, go through the same process, I agree.
I would agree that potentially our language should, but I'm looking at 44-3-505 CRS, right, which is there. I've just been looking at this in the last minute or so here, but these seem to be pretty well spelled out. As far as I'm looking at here, I think I've got the right section, so yeah, you might take a look at that.
Okay, we'll take a look at that internally too, if it
Thanks.
makes sense to change it to the maximum allowed by statute, similar to liquor licensing, then we'll make that adjustment.
Perfect.
Thank you. We need to get all the funds.
Yeah, no need leaving any dollar on the table.
$5,000.
Oh, it is 5?
So
Yeah,
that's the maximum allowed by state. And I wonder, and I'm trying to remember the discussions back with the board when the 2,500 was implemented. Was it, I don't remember if the 2,500 was the maximum.
that was the maximum
Okay,
when it
so it
had
has
started when we
changed.
discussed it.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay, we'll take a look at that. Thank you very much.
Okay.
good question.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any further questions on the fee schedule changes or? Nothing?
Sorry, give me a second.
You're fine.
I think that was just about it, since I think that was the main discussion points. Oh, that's it.
Okay, perfect.
So in the marijuana, 2024 marijuana handbook from the Colorado General Assembly, in Colorado, state law does not set a maximum license fee for municipalities. We have that authority.
Okay.
So maybe that's why it was established, because the state.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a look
We'll,
at
we'll
it.
double check.
Yeah, we're
and
gonna-
We'll look at some
Mhm.
local municipal partners as well.
Yeah, absolutely, see if we're in range.
Okay. So if there's
It just stay
no other
there.
feedback or proposed changes, the final version will be what's brought to. The third version will be what's brought to the board next week for a vote.
Yeah, with any changes to the marijuana that we deem necessary. All right. The next item is personnel and benefits, and Stephanie's coming up. Talk to you all about that.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All right. So my name is Stephanie Anderson. I'm HR Director. And tonight we are reviewing the first draft of the budget, and a portion of our operating budget is requesting funds for our personnel. So in the packet, I provided details about the background and how we got to our proposed budget numbers. But I want to briefly walk you through some key considerations, including merit and cost of living adjustment, employee benefits, a new position, and an overview of our property casualty insurance. While you are reviewing the budget, please note that the current wages and benefit numbers do reflect a 3% merit and COLA, along with the new benefit rates as well. So to start off, this year we are requesting a 3% merit and COLA pool for our staff members. And when I'm saying a 3% pool, it'll be split between merit and COLA, so it isn't 3 of each. It'll be a split between the two. And while we're reviewing our revenue, working through the process, we do want to be fiscally responsible, but also recognize that merit and COLA are a good way to keep our staff within market rates, and to help offset some increases in our insurance premiums. There is still uncertainty across other municipalities, but with the data we've seen so far, we do feel like we are in line or even a little lower than some others in our size. So I want to take us next through kind of the benefit piece, and then I want to open it up for discussion before moving to the next topic. So we did, as you all saw, had an insurance to our health insurance. So as in previous years, we're looking to renew with Colorado Employers Benefit Trust, or CEBT. And historically, they have had low increases, but the last 2 years we've received a 13.5% increase. Across the country, the cost of medical benefits is increasing. The increase is driven by factors including more people are seeking care, general inflation costs, more frequent emergency room visits, and just a growing demand for mental health services. So knowing we couldn't absorb the entire increase, we did reach out to our staff members, because this obviously will impact everybody that works for the town. So we told them to determine their preferred method to offset the cost. We asked if they prefer a higher deductible or a much steeper increase in monthly costs, and the majority did vote to drop us down a tier in the plans to make sure we didn't have a significant spike to our monthly premiums. Our plans, they're still going to utilize the same network, so we're not making any changes to who people can see, but we will see an increase in deductible both for family and for single as well, and small changes to out-of-pocket maximums also. And then the other piece on benefits I wanted to touch on is when you're looking at the benefit lines, they include our 401(a) contributions, which is our retirement plan. They include long-term disability and workers' compensation. And another thing to think about when you're looking at the benefit is, while this is an accurate approximation based on current benefit elections, it could still vary both going into 2026 after open enrollment, then also during 2026. So the budget right now is built based on current employee elections. If an employee adds their family or removes a dependent during open enrollment, that would change our numbers going into the year. Or if there's a life change during the year, if somebody has a child, gets married, that could also significantly change our numbers. So while we're budgeting to what people have, we do always anticipate there could be some fluctuation throughout the year. And then I want to pause here and have a discussion about merit and COLA and also benefits.
As we discuss merit and COLA, I think it's just always important for us to remember we're talking about people and their livelihoods and things of that nature, so we want to keep it as respectful as possible. No, none of us are trying to be disrespectful when it comes to talking about merit and COLA, but a lot of staff is listening, so it's important to remember that. Questions on this?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to see if other people might feel the same way as I do. I think a 3% pool for both COLA and merit is low. I'd love to see a 2.5 to 3% COLA pool or COLA, I guess, pool, whatever, to distribute, and then merit above that. So
My greatest
5
concern,
total or something.
my greatest concern comes as we are at 50.1% in our generated sales tax revenue from the report we received 8/25/25. So we're only at 50% and it's September.
That report was through June.
Yeah.
It was the second quarter.
But it was the one that was given to us on 8/25, right?
Correct, but the.
Okay.
Yeah, but then the
Perfect.
number comes from halfway through the year, so we're on track.
Okay.
Yeah, that, we're on track.
Got it. So, well, I must have missed that section. So that was my only concern. I am comfortable with the 3%. As we look at multiple municipalities, I kind of watched some other municipalities when they've entered some of their budget discussions just to see how they're feeling. And I see a lot of municipalities seeing a significant decrease in revenue funds coming in for their 2026 budgeting. And that was, when I looked, it was Denver that was planning on the budgeting shortfalls. It was Colorado Springs. There was a lot of municipalities. So I would like to, I'm not saying not do the 3%. I'm just saying until we have final numbers, all of this is hard to judge when you don't know exactly financially where you're sitting. It's just an estimate and projection. But I'm comfortable with the 3%.
Okay.
If that's something that we are going to look at doing. As far as the benefits go, thank you, Patty, for sending that additional information. The cost that is paid is fantastic. I'm like, okay, now I gotta go work for a town, so I'm not paying $900 a month in medical. So that was great to see that it was still affordable, even at changing the tiers a little bit. Yeah, because I pay almost, well, over $900 a month for
Which is typical.
Well,
So
That's many thanks to Ms. Anderson here. She
Yeah.
works really hard with-
fantastic.
with
Like,
negotiating and
I would
trying
love
to find
those
what
kind of
works for our
plans.
teams.
But no, I'm comfortable with the 3% for right now.
I think it's important to note that we are considerably underspent year to date for our budget, and there've been savings across the board in every department. Also, Social Security is going up by 2.5% just for COLA alone. Other municipalities are struggling financially. They're not in the position that we are, which is actually healthy. And you cannot ever have true numbers when you're in this process of the budget and you're making plans for the next year until, I mean, you just can't. We do this before the end of the year every year. And so it's impossible to have those actuals and go through this process. So I still would advocate for 2.5 to 3 for COLA alone. And at least 2, if not 3, for the merit pool.
Trustee Wiegand.
Well, I'd love to see it go up higher, similar to what she says, but I think initially we ought to be considering the 3%. Like I say, that is what the night or the average you were saying. Inflation this last year was 2.9 from the documentation here. So not that, not that I don't think our people are worth it. Definitely think they are. I think we've got some great people, but we do have to be fiscally responsible. I do got a couple extra questions, on the benefits on the health insurance. And been a while since I've sold any of this type of stuff, but we have long-term disability in that, not short-term.
So we do have short-term as a voluntary option. So if an employee would like, they can opt into short-term disability. So it is a benefit that we offer. It is fully paid for by our staff. It's not heavily utilized by staff members, but the town does pay for long-term disability. for
How
all staff
long-term?
members. Pardon?
How long-term? Is it a 2-year, 5-year, till 65 or what?
I'm actually not certain how long it lasts. I can get that information. I know we have employees that have used it in the past and they're still on it years later. So I'm not certain the exact timeline, but I can get that information.
Okay, that'd be cool. Last question, and I was just looking at some of the figures here and the percentages that you used. And I'm just want clarification on that. Let's see here, like planning. You know, you had it from the from last year for 25 to 26, what's projected. You had like 4.7, and I figure it about a 20% increase. Is there extra people that we're putting on in those departments or what? Or is there extra cost within the benefits at that point?
So what that looks like is where we see some of those bigger changes is that when I built this budget, we had a vacancy in our planning department. And when I'm building those budgets, I'm gonna use the highest plan possible.
Are
So
you
I'm
using-
gonna,
What we have designated for that amount or of people, even though last year did not have that. Okay,
correct, so.
because I know there was like, what did we have? 1, 2, 3, 4 different departments that had that, I guess.
And you're
that was
saying
in-
that they're,
Like planning, I know Public Works was like a 20% increase, where the heck, library was a 16% increase. And I think the water fund was 15. Let me see, and I just curious, just want to get clarification on that. Yeah, and everything else is pretty dang close, right on the money.
yeah, and those are definitely good ones to bring up. Again, we had a vacant library position. So with that vacant position, we're just gonna guess that they're gonna choose the family plan. So it's gonna be the most expensive for the town. And again, planning also had that vacant position. So the person that was in it before, they might have been on a single plan, or they might have
Right.
waived all their coverage.
Right, so last year when we were doing the budget, we were doing it for the lesser amount at that point.
We were doing it for who's actively in the positions, or if they're vacant, we budget them at the highest amount.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
There was a position for economic development that had wages and salaries in the economic development budget, and that position has been relocated to the planning department, so that's.
Okay, that-
Additional.
Yeah, that, like I said, that clarification makes sense. I'm glad you did it, so appreciate it. Thank you.
See, David?
I think we have world-class staff, and people who are so dedicated and have the well-being of Wellington in mind, and I'm so thankful for that. I also understand that the number that's in our budget was very carefully calculated intentionally. And that we have additional costs associated with insurance and some other items too. So, as much as I would always want to maximize it and give merit increases always and forever, including COLA too, because we stand for affordability on this board, and that's a major part of what we try to do. You know, the other side of that is making sure that people have money to then pay for things that are hopefully affordable. So I understand why it's here, but the statement I want to make, and I know we're going to get into this further, is you can't have it both ways though. You can't decrease COLA and merit to this level. I'm happy that we're considering it. Okay. But then also exclude other portions that make the jobs and the people that we have more strained in their current position. So as we go forward, and if this is the 3% that we decide upon, we need to consider the extra staff that they need. We need to consider the professional services that we need. And those are other items within the budget. So my ask is that if we only do 3% in this portion, that we absolutely support our staff on the other side of it to make sure they have everything they need and the people they need and the services they need to be successful. So that's my sense on it.
Thank you. Perfect. Chris Cannon.
We'll make a little speech here. 8 years ago, we had 90% turnover in our utilities. 90%. They were underpaid, they were overworked, they were below staff, they were poorly supervised. And we would hire somebody on and then they would go. And we as a town made a decision that, you know, we're gonna be competitive with our wages. And it just started with utilities. We took the average price for a Class C water operator and said, okay, what are they making in Fort Collins, Loveland, Greeley, you know, big major competitions. And we took that average and that became our baseline. And we also, when the hiring spree, brought in, like Rebecca was saying, brought in enough people so people weren't overworked, they weren't burnt out. And we had sufficient staff to handle all the tasks within that. And that was important because it helped us retain those employees. It helped after we make an investment and bring somebody on board, you know, and train them and get them qualified and they're out there working. If they leave, I think the national average is it's like a year and a half's worth of salary that you lose in lost time and training a new employee and such like that. So I agree that we need cost of living. I believe it should be verifiable. I believe that it should be tied to what is the cost of living within this region. If it's 3.9%, maybe our COLA needs to be 3.9%, but you base that on verifiable fact. Merit increase has always been tough, you know. I would love to pay our employees as much as we can, because I think we've got the best team that Wellington has ever seen, you know, and they do a great job. They're dedicated. They work their butts off. And, you know, I just hope that they know we appreciate them as much as they deserve. So I agree that the 3%, okay, we thought about this and this is what we're going to do. We've got increases in health benefits. They're going to take a lower tier, and their deductible is going to go up. That negatively impacts your take home pay and such like that. So I would lean toward a little bit more than the 3%. I would try to tie COLA, and this is something that we didn't do COLA until I was the manager or the administrator here. We said, okay, what is the cost of living increase, you know, within our region? Okay, that's our baseline for COLA. Because we want to make sure that these employees maintain that standard of living from year to year to year to year. And merit was about, here's your incentive. You know, you're doing a good job. We'd like to reward you for that. I've been in so many communities that just say, okay, 5% across the board, you're going to give everybody 5% raise. I'm doing that for years and years and years and years and years. And that goes the opposite after a certain point. But I agree, you need to make the workplace healthy, safe, enjoyable, give employees rewarding jobs and not just make work. Because the last thing you want to hear is somebody saying they're not paying me enough to work in this place. They only say that not because they're not getting enough money, it's because they hate where they're working. So we need to work on that workplace environment. And I think we've got a great workplace environment. And, but we also need to make sure that we're showing our appreciation and keeping people whole, year to year as we go through this. So that's all I got to say, whatever that number is or whatever the board agrees to. And I know this is just a first look.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna be fine tuning this budget over the next 3 months. So, I appreciate the work that you guys have done, but I would be leaning a little bit more toward, you know, let's tie COLA to this, you know.
Thank you. Member Tim?
Let's see, I just want to start by saying, yeah, absolutely. We've got a phenomenal staff and everything you guys do. We thank you for it, and it's a lot of hard work, so really appreciate that. I do, I concur with some of Trustee Daly's statements in which, you know, obviously we've got some increasing health insurance costs, and we've also got to try to balance that out with what that merit COLA number is going to be. Ms. Anderson, I just want to just ask you a quick question. One of your bullet points in here was about regarding local municipalities, and it said that there was some current uncertainty about whether it was between 3% and 5% for COLA and merit. Is that a pool for the other municipalities that you're aware of, or are they talking about having those numbers be separate, you know, 3% COLA, 3% merit? Do you have any insight on that?
Some municipalities just do one,
Sure.
some split, so that 3 to 5 is looking at what's the total of that.
Okay, understood. My recommendation would be, you know, at this time, just considering, and certainly as you've mentioned, this is a moving target here, so we may be able to adjust this going forward. But I think at this point in time, I would support the 3% pool. Reason why I say that is obviously this is linked to our compensation study, as well as those types of things we've done in the past. I think this is right in line with what it should be at this point. Obviously, a lot of municipalities are going to be kind of strapped for cash, and I don't want to overpromise and undeliver on something that is, you know, kind of a moving target here. So I would recommend we stick with the 3%. Trustee Wiegand, to your point regarding short-term disability, I've worked for a number of Fortune 500 companies over the year, and I would also say that your short-term disability for all of those companies has always been optional. So I think that's right in line with where we should be.
Okay.
Other than that, 3% I think is where we should stick for now. If that number changes, maybe we come up with some money down the road. I think we can look at it going forward, but 3% is where I'd stick for now.
Thank you, sir. My take on, you know, staff does a lot of research, looks into this, and then they propose a percentage at which they think is appropriate for the municipality. And so with that being said, I don't need to basically repeat what I've heard around the table. But I believe that going with the 3% merit and COLA pool is the direction to go. And I trust staff's research in that and presenting that number to us. So that's my take on the merit pool, and all of you do a wonderful job. I care about each and every one of you. You make a huge impact on this town and people that are watching online. This town wouldn't operate without the water plant, the sewer plant, all of that. So thank you to all of you that are watching. Yeah, you guys do a damn good job. Okay, that's all I've got there.
Okay, so we'll take a look at this. We'll also be, you know, looking at revenues coming up and kind of solidify some of that. We're also watching what other municipalities are doing in our region, on the manager's listserv. People are starting to populate that information. So we're starting to get some of that, so we can compare some of it to our region itself. I don't care what they're doing in Salida, because they're not any competition for us, but do I care what's happening in Berthoud and Windsor and Johnstown?
Mhm.
Absolutely. And also we'll be doing a compensation study next year. That's in the budget. So, you know, part of our goal in going through this exercise is to make sure we're not having to make any major adjustments based on the compensation study. So to keep us in range.
And one thing I will credit really quick if I can, I got to sit down and see that compensation study. I got to meet with you and you sat down and walked me through everything. And I think one of the biggest things that we did with that last compensation study was we brought the lower tiers workers, they got bumped up that level. So that was a large percentage of some of those pay raises. The lower level sought to bump them up to a higher level where they're making a livable wage now, because we had some people who weren't making a livable wage compared to what the compensation study was. That was actually, if any of the trustees have a chance to go sit and walk through it, and bless you for having as much patience as you did with me, but getting to actually really learn, know, and understand how even the lower level employees are being taken care of was a big thing to me, and cost of living, and being able to say that, yes, we employ every single one of our people here in town at a livable wage. That was cool to get to go see how all those numbers interacted and how you guys base what those raises are compared to the positions and how they're rated. It was actually a fantastic study to go and get to sit down and learn all about, and you did an awesome job displaying it in graphics for me that I could understand.
Before we move on, I do have one question. So when you do a 3% pool for both, how does that get distributed? Is it like a flat, everyone gets like 1% for COLA and the other 2 is a merit pool, or how does that work?
So what that looks like is we will take the COLA amount. So we'll either split it right down the middle if it's 3, and everybody would get automatically 1.5%. And that other 1.5%, we would pool for merit,
Mhm.
and then we distribute that based on scores on performance reviews.
Mhm.
So then that other piece is tied to people's scores. We are pay for performance. That's what is in our handbook. So it is that extra, you've done a really good job, so here's a little extra.
Yep. Okay, thanks. That's what I thought. So
Yeah.
that's a lot lower than.
I talked about people and services regarding the entire work experience, but I also want to mention actual facilities and where people are working, the comfort of, you know, their office space or the facilities and equipment they have to work with as well. I think that is just as important. So again, if we're talking about minimizing what we're talking about, COLA and merit, we really just need to make sure that we have a good work environment, that people feel comfortable being in their jobs and where they're working at, those kind of things. So I think the environment is also something to consider. So as the trade-off, I have to bring up all those things because you can't cut everywhere, right? And expect people to be happy.
Yeah.
So it's a give and take. And if this is a take spot, there's definitely other give things that are required and necessary that we really need to give good consideration in the future for other budget items.
Thank
Mhm.
You're good there.
Perfect.
So next, I do want to review a request for a new position in 2026. So this position is not in the draft budget that you're looking at tonight. So the last time that we added any new positions was for the 2024 budget. The current request is for Park Maintenance Tech 2. So right now, we currently have 2 Park Maintenance Tech 2s on staff, and we have 1 irrigation specialist. So our 2 technicians, they're responsible for all park, ball field, and trail maintenance, along with playground inspections, restroom and trash management. And then in the winter, these positions are also doing snow removal in our parks, on our trails and parking lots, which is really great for our safety for our residents. Our parks are heavily utilized. They're at capacity often. And we're really interested in bringing in another technician to help manage the parks. And I'm going to have Mr. Cooksey talk a little bit about this position as well. Do you want to sit here or do you want just want to?
I can.
Yeah,
Okay with that?
Everybody good with it from there?
You're fine there.
Okay.
Now you gotta stand up.
Poke me if I'm not.
Make sure you talk loud enough.
This is just takes.
That's what you said, nice.
So just kind of holistically, being in my role for quite a long time, I definitely see deficiencies of what I would like to improve on in our department. I think we've done a good job from a person-to-person standpoint, as well as changing some of our practices over the last few years, but we do have an increase of use in our parks, and we have increase in rec programming, which puts more strain on our parks. And I think we all know that we also are not having any of our parks get younger. In fact, our highest used park in our newest park that we've built, that we didn't adopt, is already 10 years old, WCP. And a lot of the stuff, the infrastructure that's there is starting to, I wouldn't say fail, but it's getting older. And that's just that park. We have, 9 other parks that are of the same age or older, most of them much older. So when I was thinking about this, I kind of wanted to just break this down into kind of 3 different sections of why I think it's justified to bring on another technician. First of all, one of them is why a full-time person, and it just kind of harks back to the comments we were listening to you guys make. Is it takes a lot of time and a lot of hours to hire seasonal employees, and then not just the hiring portion, which takes a while. Then we have to train them, and as a seasonal, we have to ensure that we can trust them on equipment, because during the growing season, we have traditionally 2 parks seasonals. And they're on from anywhere, late April, if we can get them on, to now, give or take. If we can hold on to them until blowouts are done, that's great, but a lot of them either have second jobs, or they go to school, they go back to school. Unfortunately, we lost a really good seasonal employee this year. He was well respected and well liked. He was doing as much as we were allowing to of what a technician role would be, because that's what we needed. And he had great equipment experience. He walked away at the end of July for a different job, and that changed our whole program, right? You have someone you can trust and rely on for 2.5 months, and they walk away. That was really tough for our team. We had another really good one, but unfortunately, he's going to be stepping away as well pretty soon. That's more just budgetary when the season's over for a seasonal position. So having a full-time person that we can invest into immediately and get them trained and trust, hopefully, that they'll stay. We know they won't always stay, but getting them on and knowing that they aren't going to be gone at the end of the season, or hopefully not in the middle of the growing season, is important. Another thing that I want to look at for this position is more weekend support. We've had increased vandalism, although it does go up and down. We have had some pretty bad vandalism. Trusting a seasonal employee to handle that process isn't necessarily on a weekend something that I feel comfortable with. We do have on call, but my goal is to have this position, this technician, be 410s, which is what our parts technicians do now, but spanning the weekend. So it'd be something like a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, which they would overlap with the team on 2 days. So they could do teamwork, but then they would also be around on the weekends where they could get essential jobs done. Specifically, something like the splash pad. Again, we have to check that 3 times every single day to stay compliant with the state. And having a seasonal do that, I don't know how many times either our on-call, myself, or operations supervisor is getting a call on the weekend from a seasonal, just not quite sure and not quite confident to make the decision on what to do. And that's, hundreds of thousands of dollars in infrastructure, and we've got pumps running and all that. So having someone full-time invested around on the weekends, I think is imperative. And, we have increased baseball and softball tournament preps that they could work on. We have recreation programming they can do on the weekend. We often need trailer work for that. So we're lugging around the heavy equipment that the recreation program uses for both games and also our events. A park technician would be perfect to have around to be able to do that, rather than stretching our current park technicians a couple hours on the weekend, stuff like that. And then the winter snow support on the weekends. We would have to use potentially less overtime for people coming in, or flexing schedule just in case it's going to snow on the weekends. But then also we would ensure that our facilities that we do use, like the library and or the downtown corridor going past the office in Centennial Park, that need to be cleared every time it snows, that they're always going to be done on the weekends. My second thought is there enough work outside of the growing seasons? Because that's a pretty common question, right? Most everybody would say you could use 5 technicians during the growing season. But that's really our only time to do and catch up on some of this deferred maintenance. So we're talking about having 1 extra person to help with fence maintenance, soft trails, infield rehab, grading, and alignment with the bases, playground inspection, summarizations, and then taking what we learned from the year and actually being able to have time to go 2, 3, 4 days. Can't really do that during the season when kids are all over during working hours. Great time during the winter to do that. There's always plumbing, painting restrooms, all the pump houses, mulching trees. Like, there's plenty of projects that don't get done during the season that stepping or adding another person can help us step up the safety aspect as well as the aesthetic aspect of the town and our parks. And then the last thing I've got is basically what we've added and what's in the future. We haven't had a new technician, not since I've been here, but we did add Harvest Park, which is about 10.5 acres, a little less than 2 miles of trail and loop trail. The goal is for us to play soccer there next year, so we can open up the baseball fields here in spring and fall when we do youth soccer. So we're going to increase programming at this park, continue programming at this park, increase programming at Harvest Park, As well as eventually, when downtown is done, there's gonna be a lot of hardscape down there. And that's probably most likely from what we've decided, at least for the time being, in following the Parks Department with new irrigation and a lot of hardscape and snow removal as well. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Thank you.
Yep.
Questions, thoughts, direction?
Mr. Cucci, I think the need's been clearly demonstrated as far as adding an additional employee. I just want to understand one thing from the proposed budget. It looked like, please correct me on this if I'm wrong. I'm just trying to understand. As far as line 210, 51, 5101 goes on the recreation budget, it looks like that 85,000 for the seasonal was removed and displaced over to the Parks Fund. 210, 34, 5101, is that, am I
Yeah.
tracking that correctly?
Yeah, so the goal is with that is to kind of just streamline our overall seasonal budget because we do have a tough time getting seasonals in both for parks and recreation. And although they're different jobs, we do see some of them wanting to jump from one to the other.
Sure.
And it's not really a budgetary thing as much as it is for an HR thing because they have to change designations for us. And then we're pulling out of two buckets, making sure that
Yeah.
any one of them hasn't been missed and we're not going over the overall Parks and Rec budget. So that's really what that line item is.
Understood.
And one thing to consider is if we do get this position, I'm willing to sit down after this, or if we can even still considering it. And maybe reducing some of that seasonal budget because that is now Parks and Rec. And if you have a full-time person on, generally you would think we wouldn't need that much seasonal help because we're getting more support year round. It's something that I've considered, so I just want to throw that out there as well.
Sure. Appreciate that feedback. Yeah, I, like I said, I think the need's been clearly demonstrated here and heck, if you can reduce some of the seasonal budget, that'd be even better. So yeah, I'm in for that.
So I
So
don't want to say I have to, but it's definitely worth bringing someone on that is invested in, and can do the job.
certainly.
I'm supportive.
Or
I am supportive of it. It was one of my highlights on my thing was wanting to know kind of what happened with the funding, the negative 100% transitioned over. I am 100% supportive, and if you can find that savings to decrease the increase in the total budget, that would be great. But in the things I have looked at and items that you have listed here, other than maybe wiping out a seasonal position, I don't know how much give you kind of have in your
Yeah,
budget anyway.
It wouldn't be a one-to-one, it would just be kind of a reduction of seasonal time.
Got it.
Since we wouldn't need that.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I'm supportive of it.
I'm very supportive of it. I think especially having a full-time person, you're not gonna have to be training. It's gonna make everything a lot more efficient. And also to the overtime you're talking, you know, people aren't gonna have to be working overtime as much because you're gonna have that extra person there. So I think it just makes a lot of sense. And in the long run, it probably could actually save us some money. And with the town keeps growing, we're gonna have more parks here too. So it's gonna be good to have somebody on staff already trained.
The weekend overlap was a huge kudos too.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Chris Moore,
I am supportive.
thank you. Good to get it.
Fully justified. Sounds good to me.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm supportive. I think that's like a wonderful problem to have. I think great way to solve it is testament to Parks. Your leadership there and the team and growing, all of the recreation of that nature. So, kudos to you and good problem to have, and I'm supportive of it. Okay.
My very last piece is I did want to review our property casualty insurance. We have received our renewal quote from Sursa, and it does reflect an increase to the coverage in 2026. Our coverage includes property, auto physical, auto liability, general liability, and public official errors and omissions. Why it's a range right now is that we do also have a couple additional quotes from Sursa that we're looking at, which include a no-fault water line rupture coverage and excess cybersecurity coverage as well. So that's why I have the range on there. We're looking at the quotes currently. And then where the flood insurance comes from is this building here, the Leaper Center, is in a floodplain. So we are required to have excess flood coverage for this building. And it increased a little last year, so I'm just anticipating it's gonna increase again a little this year as well. And the final item that we pay for insurance is our public official bond. And that is built into our town code. We have to have our town administrator, town treasurer, and town clerk all bonded, which is through code. You will see that in most of our budgets, there is an additional $5,000, and that is to cover deductible in case we do have to open a claim and need to pay the deductible for it.
Questions?
I suspect that 6,000 might go a little bit higher than from the jump from the 5450 to the 6,000.
No.
I
Hopefully
suspect
not.
that might be.
That one's just hard to tell.
I haven't seen real increases in flood insurance like everything else, though.
They haven't
Right.
been as significant from last year, so I'm not certain. I'm just hoping they're not gonna go much over, but hopefully by going up a little bit, we'll have some room.
And the PC, that's pretty much a solid number we have there, depending upon which way we go.
Yes.
And yeah, everything's going crazy on the property casualty right now. Right. And wait, Sursa helped us year before, last year, I guess it was, with the lawsuit and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They're definitely well worth the money we spent.
Yeah, they're really good partners. They come out and do audits, make sure that we're safe in our facilities out here. They encourage us to have a safety committee and to make sure we're following good safe practices. So we really appreciate the time that they spend with us and work with us. We're definitely happy with their coverage.
Were we getting prices from anybody else?
We did not look this year for other prices.
Okay.
It really does benefit a town of our size to be in a pool, and Sursa is a
Right.
pooled insurance. And since we haven't had issues, we haven't looked elsewhere. If it's something the board is interested, we could go out for other bids in future years. But for this year, we're definitely recommending to stay with Sursa.
What was the percentage? If you're looking at it, probably 7-8%? Or what?
Yeah, it's about 9% increase for us. Right, we saw that the average for Sursa was 5% for most municipalities. A lot of other municipalities also have law enforcement in their coverage as well, so they're paying a lot more. I can't say why we're at 9 and other municipalities are at 5, but that is where our quotes came in for this year.
Thank you.
Of course.
Real quick question for you, Ms. Anderson, regarding the Sursa coverage, the property coverage specifically, do they include a vandalism component?
Should.
I'm not certain what vandalism looks like. We definitely do have coverage for property. I could look into what
Okay.
that is.
I just did
This
it.
slide, for example, they will cover that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I just wanted to be sure we were taking
Right.
Yes.
the advantage of those benefits.
What is our
It has to be a
deduct?
significant loss, not like there's graffiti in the car.
Right.
Of course.
So,
Yeah.
What is our
like, the
deductible?
burnt Down slide, that
Like
is something
that.
we're working with.
5,
Okay, great, thank you.
and it's 5,000 deductible.
$5,000 deductible for property. For some fleet items, it's $1,000, but most deductibles are 5,000.
5,000, okay.
Good, gravy. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the next portion. So, as you see through all this and how we've talked a little bit already, a lot of this is just, we're doing our best guess. We're not quite sure what it's gonna come out. We're getting some quotes and things like that, especially when it's related to our insurance. So this next piece, the departments have submitted information. We've, gone through the process of looking at past year's expenditures and estimating what is coming on for next year. I would like to start with talking about those priorities that the Board of Trustees identified at the May 20th work session. And those priorities included economic development, emergency preparedness, home rule, affordable housing, and alternative water solutions. So the alternative water solutions, you'll have a presentation on the water source development plan on September 23rd. Megan Smith will be presenting that information. The affordable housing is generally being addressed through the legislative requirements of that's happening right now in Prop 123. And you all have been participating in some of those discussions already. So talking about economic development, we did budget $20,000 to support the new business development manager who will be starting on October 21st. And then we also included $15,000 for Placer AI, if that is something that the board is interested in us adding to the town of Wellington. I'm in reviewing it and sitting in multiple demonstrations. I'm not sure what the return on investment for Wellington is, other than it'll allow us to run our own reports. It may help us find what those gaps are, as far as, businesses in Wellington. But as far as like being able to come up with a number of return on investment, I'm not sure what it is. But it is, I got a quote from them. It is $15,000 this year. That would be the setup and coming out and doing some training and helping us set up some of the reports. And then it would be ongoing. I think the next year it's close to 15,000 as well. So it's just pretty much an annual fee. We get it and then we have to pay annually. So would love to hear from you all about Placer AI, or if you have any ideas or thoughts about the economic development piece that's included in that first page, if it's in your packet.
Chris Kim?
Sure. I'm glad we're putting money toward economic development. We need that, and I've been talking to a couple of people just in this past couple of weeks about economic development. You remember back in 2018, the town did that market leakage analysis. That data is old.
Yes, it is.
That data back then cost us $40,000. It was a 2-year contract. The town canceled the second year.
Okay.
But it gave us a snapshot. And if you have a business development manager, having that snapshot with hard data about, okay, this is what our market is. This is how many dollars are spent in the town just in this market. And this is how much we're capturing. This is how much is leaking. That's a great tool for going to someone and saying, okay, you have this business, you're a lumber company or whatever. We have a demand here and you can capture that demand. It helps the economic developer. It helps put together talking points for recruitment, so forth like that. I think at some point, I don't know if we can do it next year, but we're putting money aside for home rule, which is something I'm 100% behind. And home rule sets the stage so that we can do economic development a little bit more fluidly than we can right now. I think having more tools in place. I know that Main Street got a grant to do a market leakage analysis. I don't think it was as robust as the Buxton study, and the data seemed to be different from what I remember about it. But I would not object. In fact, I would probably like to know if someone could reach out to Buxton to find out, what if, or a similar company to find it, okay, to do a market leakage analysis, what would that run for a town like the size of Wellington? And then have that as a consideration either for 2026 or the 2027 budget.
I've got a question. Is that something that you would potentially be in favor of swapping out Placer AI in favor of?
I'm not that familiar with Placer AI. I think that has some benefits, but again, we're not getting a lot of positive feedback about what those long-term benefits of that. The Buxton study, just to explain the model, it was going to be a 2-year model. They gave us not only this is our study in all the markets, this is where you're leaking in all the markets, but they also gave us a list of potential businesses to bring to town. You're ideally suited for, let's say, groceries. City Market or Safeway was one of the studies. They said lumber, Bloden lumber, and there's one down in Loving. You're not going to support a Home Depot or a Lowe's, but here's a lumber store that's a smaller market that would fit in your region. Family restaurants and so forth. They gave us a long list of places to pursue. And you take a business development manager, instead of trying to figure that out on their own and going off. They've got market data that says, well, look at this, we've got a $127 million gap in grocery spending in town. How would you like to come in and help us recover that?
Yeah.
I think it's a good material and, it gives you the information you need. So, yeah, I would probably be more in favor of bumping economic development to some degree to include, another one of those leakage analysis. And I would love to have even a work session, something about
Sure.
economic development.
Thank you, sir.
That's part of what Placer AI does is analyze the foot traffic and trends
Mhm.
and what our community is doing, where they're going elsewhere for what, and how much they're spending in other places. So I think for me, if this is something that the staff is interested in, I'm highly interested in what it might give us. It'd be worth, I think, trying at least for a year to see what. I mean, I've seen a leakage study for the town years ago. And I definitely think that's valuable information, but I think that using real-time data from our, I mean, there's no telling what these reports could give us, and I'm really interested to see that. So I think it's definitely worth trying for a year is my opinion.
And if I could just add one more thing, real quick, I don't mind, like I said, not next year, but even the year after.
Mhm.
We're doing a couple of big things for economic development. We're just hiring somebody to come in October. They're gonna get their feet wet. We've got this push for home rule works. And we get that passed, that gives us more ammunition in our belt to do that. And maybe Placer ID would be sufficient. Again, I don't know that much about it.
Sure.
But at some point, if you want to expand your commercial, your retail business here, I think you need a pretty good plan.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh, usually I'd be behind most AI things and I love Placer AI and the reason why I love it is we're using them right now for our Parks and Rec. And, but with the data and reports that they're having, they have an entire group that's like analyzing those reports and putting that within the master plan. I don't know if we have at this point, the manpower to do data analysis. And I know they do reports and those kind of things, but if you were to ask Placer AI where our people are going, we already know that answer. They're going to Fort Collins. So I think that will be really helpful. And I love it for the Parks and Rec plan that we're already investing in Placer AI with them. Because they're saying during 4th of July, where are people going? How are they dispersing? Are they staying downtown? What are they doing? What's a Main Street market look like versus a different day? You know, those kind of things. And I think that analysis with people who are consolidating that data is very powerful. I don't think, I think we know where people are going. They're going to Fort Collins. I would echo Ed's sentiment about a leakage study or a report of some sort. It doesn't even have to be a study necessarily. It could just be based off existing data and doing a report. Because actually I was just telling Ed about this, for the Main Street, Philadelphia, whatever that was. What
No,
was-
the conference.
Yeah, the conference. Blair was there and she's like, I'm meeting all these people. They want to know more about Wellington. So I put together an email and I'm like, check this out, right? And then I sent them an email with all of our statistics and our graphics and everything that was from, what did we decide, 6 years ago? And that was before the entire world changed.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you guys remember, but that was a different world ago. And we were on a certain track then, we're on a different track now. Pretty much everything's changed, right? So I was almost embarrassed to send that email because I was like, here's Wellington, we're a happening community. Let me show you about where we were 6 years ago. So I think that if anything, the study is completely necessary or a report of some sort is necessary. But I actually think extended budget on marketing materials above and beyond what we've already done is what we need. I visited Trinidad recently, Winter Park, Glenwood Springs, Grand Junction on behalf of MLA. And each one of those cities and towns provided me a packet upon entering their town that made them look like the best place I've ever been in my entire life. A guide to their parks, a guide to other restaurants, a shopping guide, all the state parks within proximity, all these kind of things. And that was me coming as a visitor. Imagine that being available in our storefronts. Imagine that being available for new residents. Imagine that being available for people that are prospecting us for their business location. I think that we need to up our game above and beyond probably. I mean, $20,000 is a lot of money. There's a lot of needs for that for economic development. But I think we need a massive overhaul of our marketing and branding. And I think that could contribute to business development. So I don't want to put 6-year-old information in them either, though. So I see a big need here. And this is stuff that we can be doing now. We don't have to wait until we're already growing and those kind of things. Like this is the stuff that we need to already set and have established before we move along. Placer AI is going to be fantastic when we're really honing in things. But the leakage study is going to tell us what businesses to solicit. So I would recommend that we maybe address this and recommend that we seek some new recommendations from this perspective of staff, kind of with that kind of feedback to see if what they might suggest or price out for us.
Okay.
But I don't know if Placer AI is where we're at right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Good
that.
feedback.
Yeah, I found that to make economic development work, you've got to make an investment in your economic development efforts. So yes, home rule is going to be an investment, $110,000 they're going to put in there. That sets the stage. A market leakage analysis or any other kind of report that tells you, okay, what businesses to recruit and so forth like that. That's another investment. Investment in a business manager or an economic developer. Let me tell you what we did with the 2018 study. We had a full-time economic developer. And where family or where Dollar General is right now, south of Ridley's.
Oh, yeah.
There was a
That's a sad
50,000 square foot retail space, went through planning and got approved. And our economic developer using the Buxton study contacted 2 of those family restaurants and was getting initial commitments to go in to anchor inside of that store. And we also were talking about the retail outlet to go in there. There's going to be three retail businesses, commercial property taxes, retail sales taxes, more opportunities for the families to take their kids out for dinners and such like that.
Talking rooftop restaurant stuff.
We
like
did
fancy stuff.
We did that.
Yeah.
Within a year using the Buxton study. So having that information immediately gives you the information you need. You can start acting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love what Ed had said there and also what Rebecca had. Yes, we need to find out where the leakage is coming from. And that's going to give our economic development person heads up on everything. Question on the 20,000 that you got here. What are we looking at spending that kind of money on? Is that marketing, just like what Rebecca was talking about on that, Trustee Daly was talking about, okay? So we've got that already in the plans,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So now it's just figuring out whether it's the AI or the Buxton study, which would be the most productive at this point. And I think that's gonna be more of a pinpoint thing right now.
Depends on what you mean by pinpoint.
Well,
I will.
as far as a type that we're looking for, and that's gonna give us data
Yeah.
to go out.
They
Yeah,
use Esri data, they look at, credit card spending and so forth
Right.
based on your zip codes and such like that. And
that's
yeah,
gonna give the meat into the,
comes down to the dollar.
right,
How
meat to
much
the,
is being spent.
right.
And how much is not being spent.
Mhm.
This one from 2019 gives us a missed opportunity of 153 million.
In sales tax revenue.
No,
But that-
and that's in retail sales.
That's in retail sales, but
It's
it's an
it's
estimate.
11 million instead.
It's an estimate.
Yeah.
It's an estimate, and in talking to other managers recently and talking about their large projects, there's one in Frederick right now that is Target. So the person that started that project is now the town manager in Eaton. And he started that project 5 years ago. It has taken 5 years to get that off
Mhm.
up and vertical. So it is a marathon.
Oh, yeah.
And the goal, my goal for our new business development manager is to provide some love to our current businesses. We need to retain the businesses we have right now and really spend some time getting to know them, getting to know the culture of Wellington. What do our residents really want? People who visit Wellington, what are they looking for? And we know that there's leakage. We know people are going to Fort Collins for things. But first of all, we need to show some love to our current businesses and Main Street everywhere. And then start as this person gets ingrained in our town, who starts going to those meetings in Fort Collins with the crew group. I mean, there's a lot of organizations related to economic development that this person will be participating in. And then we can start, maybe next year we bring back the Placer AI or the Buxton, study or something like that. We can take some time and talk to this person once they get involved and get ingrained in this, into our community, and see what they believe is best. And we can bring you some recommendations. How does that sound?
I'd rather
Go for
increase
it.
the economic development budget 2025.
Okay, for
20
market, for 2026 for marketing,
Well, here's another interesting thing.
okay?
Well,
I like the marketing idea.
real quick,
Yeah, go ahead.
can I, Trustee Tease is trying to talk.
Sorry,
No,
I'm excited about this.
Yeah, no, it's fair, but I just want to hear her input.
So my question comes in the economic development section itself on page 40 is exceedingly confusing compared to what is written on page 34. So we were said that the 20,000 was for marketing, but here it has listed marketing services as 5,000.
The 20,000 is allocated or appropriated in professional services. So that's the 35,000 that's under professional services. 20,000 is the.
Right, so 20,000 is that.
And then the 15 for Placer AI.
Okay, so but the 20,000, it says that it's to support new business development manager.
So
It doesn't say it's for marketing. So is it for marketing or is it to support the new business manager?
it's professional services, so that would be if they could contract for marketing. The marketing services you see is where we do direct marketing, where you pay for printing or
Marketing is a form of support.
yes.
Got it. So that's why I was curious if it'd be under marketing services instead of under the professional
Professional development.
services. So I am 100%, I did some searching and looking, and if you go online, you can read a lot of 50-50 reviews on the Placer AI for what you guys, what the town is like actually looking at doing with it compared to just tracking data over time. It did say that there was a lot of extra after the 15,000 with as far as having data analysis, hands on board to track the data and do that. The Buxton study, I can't tell you in the many years that I have been involved in the town, how many times the study has been referenced or utilized. And it's the only really utilization. I mean, there's the chamber uses it, Main Streets uses it, the town uses it. Even independent businesses themselves have used it in preparation for getting additional funding for moving up forward in their business or brick and mortar. I think that one I would be way more supportive of looking at for 2026. Even if that has to come later on after economic development has their feet wet and they've introduced themselves. I totally say yes, 100% to showing love to the businesses that remain that are already here. But I want to see that actually go out to all of the businesses. I mean, you see it, we're including $30,000 in the budget for Cleveland Avenue business support. And it's one of those things that I will say, and there's a few businesses I've said that closed down and were sour because they were not on Main Street and we were utilizing town funds to solely support one main drag, and other businesses felt the effect of feeling left out.
Okay.
So I think that's one of those things that I want to ensure that if we are saying, yes, we want to utilize these additional funds to show all of the businesses love, I want to be able to ensure that that money is actually going to be utilized to show other businesses love. And I would love to know how that's going to be handled, how it's going to be accomplished. Are we also going to help these other businesses with some of this marketing money for economic development? I mean, so I think that this actually probably requires its own independent work session discussion on further funding or anything along those lines. I'm fine with the support to new business development manager. But my question would be, if we've transitioned that business manager to planning, would those funds not need to be allocated in a planning area? Is there a reason why you guys have absorbed that area, but the economic development section itself is receiving the funds when I'm just trying to
Sure,
figure out
and
how
that may
they're.
change over time. Right now, we're trying to split out the funds so that we can see exactly like the funds that are being used for economic development. So we may end up bringing that position over into its own budget, but right now it is under planning, just for ease of our facilitation.
Got it. So are they having to utilize anything additional besides just the staff member in planning when they're doing this? Is there any additional costs in planning that I don't know how to explain it. How are they crossing where planning is still getting all the financial support for that salary member that's in there?
The salary and benefits have been allocated, or I should say appropriated in planning's salaries, wages and benefits. There's a couple other small built-in expenses, computer, that type, that is falling under planning, just like any other planning or building employee would. The economic development section is to be able to track and highlight specifically funds that are being used for economic development. So more of the general employee type, administration type, funds are under planning.
Got it. So, but are they solely a economic development person for you then?
They are business development manager. Yes,
Okay.
that is their role. They're not going to work in planning. They're not going to issue permits. They're
No, that's not my question. What I'm saying is, so
But that's
then
good.
we supplied them a computer out of planning's budget though
Mhm.
but they're for economic development. I'm just trying to see where the funds are going and how they're cross-motionating between planning and economic development. So,
the personnel side is covered in planning. Everything else is under economic development.
except their computer came out of.
That's
planning,
under
right?
personnel. That would be considered personnel because they have to have a computer. to-
Got it.
Travel, training, office supplies, personal related expenses are in main operating budget, and the things that are directly related to products associated with economic development and the economic development budget.
Got it.
Position versus operation.
Correct.
So something else
So,
that you
well-
often see is that planning and building, economic development, sometimes they're often combined. And it's under the general umbrella of what they call community development.
Mhm.
Under like Public Works has streets, they also have, they have all these different brands in there. So I don't have a problem with the business development manager being under Cody and his umbrella because it makes sense.
Right, no, and that's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is just making sure that they're not pulling additional fundings from building that should be coming from economic development. If it's computer, stuff like that, because we can't track what we've actually invested in economic development if we're pulling some funds from planning and some funds from economic development. I like the idea of like the community development little umbrella, because then you can kind of pool that all into one, so you know the total cost of economic development, rather than trying to figure out what was spent and what was invested where. It's just.
Yep. Over time,
compartmentalizing.
we'll probably start making some adjustments, but this is how we're presenting the budget this year.
Got it. So, and
To headline,
I'm comfortable, well, I already said that, and then I kind of, I'm comfortable with supporting an additional funding in economic development. I would just like to know where that additional funds would come from if it's something we are looking at for 2026.
And then, stance on Placer AI.
I would prefer wait on Placer AI, but I would completely support doing,
Some sort of leakage
absolutely.
when
Because
the time comes, or,
I would like to see it for 2026.
okay,
That's,
perfect.
if we can get a head start on that, then I think it'd be beneficial, especially looking at home rule and everything like that.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, let's see, yeah, as far as Placer AI goes, I guess I'm not totally convinced that that's the tool we need. I think a lot of folks have had some really good input and ideas here. I would agree that I think a leakage or market analysis study is definitely the way to go. I suspect that's going to cost us far more than Placer AI is, so we'll have to deal with that as the budget goes. I would also support the $20,000 to support the new business developer manager. That employee already exists, right? How much do we have? What is that total now currently?
What
Or
was
is
the
that-
question?
How? The business development manager already exists under
Yes,
Cody.
yes,
Who do?
it's already in the budget. It was
so-
in the
so
budget.
Is this an
last-
additional 20,000 too on top of that?
Yes,
Yes.
20,000 for
Okay.
marketing materials, things
Understood.
like that,
Um,
support.
I guess I would just want to. I mean, I would certainly want to ask for that person's input as far as, what, if a leakage, if maybe that person feels strongly about Placer AI, that could be the right tool for the job. I'm not getting that vibe necessarily. If it is though, or maybe that person thinks maybe it should be a market impact analysis. So I would like maybe some feedback as far as that goes, on that side. I also support the cutting out a piece for home rule. The General Assembly, I think, has done us no favors in terms of things that don't necessarily fit our community. So I do think we need to pursue that. Are we?
Yeah,
just
sticking
on
to
that?
the economic
Okay, yeah,
development.
fair enough. But yeah, I would support the 20,000 for the business development manager and maybe just pause on the Placer AI stuff for now.
Okay.
Okay.
And we can look, so the Buxton study was $25,000.
I thought it was 40,000.
For how
Nick
many
looked it
years?
up, it was
Each year?
25,000 in 2019 is what we paid.
Like 40,000 in today's dollars.
Or maybe it was for the 2 years, 40 or something.
I
So
thought
I-
it was 40,000 a year, because we started the study in 18.
well, if-
The invoice, the AP, the invoices is 25,000 in 2019.
That's good.
Okay,
Unless
so,
there was another.
That makes it affordable.
well, that was 2019. Thank you very much.
Unless there was another vendor used for part of it, or like, but Buxton Company was,
So
Patty's gonna start it.
Before we bring this back to you, we'll do some research and see what we can come up with as far as the leakage analysis. I know Buxton does it, there's multiple companies that do work like that, so let's see what we can find, okay? And we'll bring you some
Good.
ideas and maybe add that into the budget.
Thank you.
And it sounds like I will.
I
hold
stand
on.
corrected, 50,000.
Oh.
This is why our controller is here.
That's why,
50,000.
excellent. Okay, so now we take it all back, so 50, you underestimated.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I know. I'm impressed that you're so close. Very nice, very nice. So we'll hold on Placer AI. We'll look at a market leakage study for either 26 or 27.
Right.
And we'll go from there. Okay? Fantastic. All right, emergency preparedness is the next item. So we did get some quotes on that for an emergency operations plan and a continuity of operations plan, be around $40,000 to complete both. So.
It seems
Actually-
less than way
Yeah,
less than I
it's
expected.
definitely-
When I saw this on here, I was like, that
Yeah.
first year or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, so that would be to do both. There was one company that came in much higher than that, one that came in much lower than that. This one was kind of middle of the road, and looking at some of their examples provided some good detail and the information that we would be needing in the case of an emergency. And I think setting, the emergency operations plan is not a heavy lift. It's a continuity of operations plan, because that's working with all departments and coming up with how we move forward in an emergency. So that's what we really need help with. So if they can do both for 40, I feel like that's a
Smoke deal.
Good with that?
Yep.
Good, good. I think we're all behind that. Okay.
Excellent. Okay, and the last one is home rule. And again, these are just estimates. We did, so the survey, which would be going out to residents to gauge their interest or to find out what they know. So the first piece would be marketing and education. We would hire a firm, like Slate or Magellan to help us with that, which gets information out to residents to figure out what they know and what they don't know and help educate them on what the benefits of home rule could be. Then we would do the survey to check to make sure we have the voter okay to move forward, because it would be crazy to conduct a special election of this magnitude if only 10% of the residents said they'd vote for it. But if you were ending up with, 60% or even 55%, generally move forward with that. Legal counsel, we'd have outside legal counsel to help with that, to sit with that charter commission, to help with the election, help write the charter, make sure it's all legal, estimated at $25,000, legal counsel at $25,000. And then one election is going to run us about $45,000, a special election. That includes everything related to the election. The ballots, the cost of ballots has gone up in a huge way for some reason. Cost of ballots have gone up. Hannah your town clerk is a huge believer in renting equipment to count those ballots as opposed to having them hand counted by residents or other voters. So that's a little bit of expense, not that much. And then all the other normal election expenses. This is, like I said, assuming it's one election, we would try to time it so that one of the elections, whether that be for the charter commission itself or the approval of the charter, would fall on either a municipal election or a coordinated election.
Great.
So ready to hear any feedback and ready to take notes again. Is anything y'all want to talk about?
I think it's a great move and, long overdue. And I agree with what Brian said, what's happening in Denver right now with, I think Governor Polis just a little too liberal for Wellington, and a lot of these executive orders he's signing right now, you're going to take money away from municipalities. So being a home rule community gives you more protections. And I'll also point out that, as a home rule community, you can also do a lodging tax when those funds can go toward marketing for the town. So that covers another hole in economic development as well.
I'm going to be your devil's advocate here. And so what I will say is, unless I think that our water issue and lack of trust is definitely going to coincide with asking for residents to transition to home rule over, and actually, honestly, I think anything that might come before residents on asks for more money or asks for home rule to change up the government and how it's operated, I think we'll see pushback. So I would say that I'm not for it, I'm not against it. I'm just saying that education piece on why it's important and why it's imperative is going to be one of the biggest things to get something like this approved, because the trust is greatly lacking, and it's not anybody's fault on why that trust is lacking. It's just in general and everywhere trust is lacking, and anyone who comes forward and asks for anything extra is probably going to see pushback on it. It might be the best thing in the world for them, but because your government is asking you, you're going to probably immediately see that pushback from it. So I would say that the marketing and education probably is going to be one of the key topics. So lots of meetings and town halls and Q&As and anything that you can do to get the proper information and education out is going to be key for seeing something like this move forward. So I think it'll be great to have an opportunity to be able to have more say in our own community. So I think it's a great thing. I think it's expensive no matter which way you spin it. But I'm for or against however you guys decide. It is what it is.
Perfect. We can, thumbs up from you.
Who's for it?
Trustee Daly, you.
I almost, with that same reasoning, would say that home rule would likely be successful right now, because if people are looking at government and distrusting it, they might think I could do it better. And that's the whole purpose of charter, is for people to be then, to run for and be appointed then as members of the charter who get to create the rules of Wellington and make the government the way they want to make it. So if anything, I think that might be a driving argument for people to want to make Wellington their own, rather than just following the rules that were required to follow. So
Yeah.
this might be an optimal time to do it, based off the fact that there is discomfort. I think it would be a perfect time to introduce this under.
Yes.
Just focus on educating them so they understand.
Yeah,
The charter.
Like, what is it?
Right, how
Who
does it
does
work?
And what
How
is it
does
gonna
give the
function? What
town?
is its purpose,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I think, yeah. huge.
Yeah, because that's
Okay.
what the charter is. It's
And-
people who are.
And
who
the
run for it.
biggest thing on this too, it's, you gotta show them that's taken the control over us from Denver, putting it back here.
Yeah,
Bingo.
As
I
much
know-
as we possibly can. Lee.
As much as we possibly can, because so many, whatever state you're at, if you live in downstate Illinois and you got Chicago controlling everything you're doing, that's not a very good thing. So when we have the same thing here.
Yeah.
So, like I say, we have to sell it.
Thank you. Trustee Moore, did you have any input?
Nope.
Okay. So collectively, we are in support of pursuing this. Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
We'll make it so.
And I'll just say one more thing.
Absolutely.
When I was up in Fraser, the communities got together. It wasn't a home rule question. It was about affordable housing in mountain communities.
Attainable.
It's unattainable. In a 9-month period, the leaders of 3 communities in the county got together, started an education project, hired 2 teams. One team was just simply for marketing, and how do we put the word out? How do we market this? The other team was very good at doing the survey and the polling and the market research for the support of whether the measure passed. And these 2 worked together to get a message out, and how even the survey was worded is very important, to say, hey, do you support home rule? No. The questions would be, would you rather have Denver telling your Wellington residents what they can and cannot do, or would you rather have local control? I mean, you can they formed those questions that way, and they predicted it would pass by 63%. It passed by 64%. So, but we did that in 9 months. Not only did we get it passed, we got a 2 mil property tax levy passed alongside with it. So, it does, I agree with marketing and information is going to be
Absolutely.
very key.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people say, home rule, what's that?
Yeah,
They have no idea.
yeah. Just unaware. Perfect.
All right, so as we move forward on that, we'll RFPs, all the things for the marketing, channel, other timeline, things like that. So we'll keep going. We'll have, I'm sure, work sessions and things and we'll keep you updated.
Also counting machines. Well, that.
It's, she,
That's about, yeah. Wow.
yeah, she had one election where it will kind of count. No, we're gonna do machines. So it's just much more reliable. All right, moving on, now we're looking into our operation budget, and we gave you all copies of it. There's space there for you to make notes or anything if you would like. And the first budget we'll talk about is legislative.
Before you jump into that,
Nick's gonna talk.
We take a quick
Yeah.
break.
No.
Okay. We're gonna take a quick break.
Whatever.
Whatever.
What are we getting? What?
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah. And mute.
All right, so we're back. All right. So what we wanted to do now was go through the operating expenditure requests. These were compiled by finance and submitted by all the departments, so you do have all the department heads here. Should there be questions. Couple of highlights that were in the packet. So it does show an overall decrease of 4.3% in operating expenditures for fiscal year 2026. Give you a little bit more context, broke that down. General fund is a 12% decrease. Street fund is a 4.3% increase. Water fund is a 29.7% decrease. Sewer fund a 5% increase, and park fund, which includes park and recreation, is a 7.3% increase. So it's a overall decrease, but some of the funds do show increases. The budget priorities that were just discussed have been included in here, as were the personnel discussion, with the exception of the Parks Maintenance Tech 2 that was requested. The revenues and fund balances are not included. Revenues are still being compiled. As I shared during the Q2 treasurer's report, property tax assessments have come in $10 million higher, so that'll have roughly a $60,000, $60,000 to $70,000 increase in property tax revenue. Year to date through June, sales tax is trending 10% higher than last year. So there are some good revenue indicators. We'll have more detail on that in the coming weeks. So there are other things that are down, such as building permits. So we'll be putting those projections together here shortly. Really what we're doing tonight, this is just a first attempt to show what their requests are. These numbers will change. And we are hoping to get guidance and feedback from the board if there's anything missing, if there's anything you have questions on. So we'll go through each department, just starting with legislative, and the staff member that oversees that department will be available for questions.
So starting with y'all's budget, the legislative budget. Happy to answer any questions you have. The Cleveland Avenue Business Support was brought up, and that is something that has been requested by the Main Street Group. They've been asking the businesses that would be affected by the RMS project have asked how is the town going to support us with our loss of sales tax? This was no board member asked us to put this information in here. This was just a request that we have heard through the community, so we added it to allow opportunity for the board to discuss it. We can remove it, reduce it, increase it. A couple ideas. Kelly Hodling worked on a document. Pass that out. That shows like giving just a flat amount to just sales tax based businesses, or sales tax and service based businesses, dividing that $1,000 up, what that might look like. So let y'all take a look at that and color. And we do see a need to be able to support those businesses, but not sure if this is the right direction to go. It's very difficult to determine what their sales tax loss would be until way after the fact, and they're going to need the money at the time of loss, not 6 months down the road, or because they'll submit sales tax always 2 months in arrear, and then we don't even receive information for it for the next month. So this was just an idea that we had, and happy to answer any questions about the legislative budget that you might have.
Thank you.
Question I would have would be, since you can track sales tax revenue, when it does come in, it can give you progress reports throughout the year. And I know that those I've seen sales tax reports from the state, and they're massive, and trying to identify the code that they're under and the business and so forth like that. being able to track those businesses, is it possible? Do you have the capacity with personnel and staff? Do you have the capacity to track that on a continuing basis throughout the year? That could judge, okay, here's where we're seeing businesses are suffering compared to the past 1 or 2 years or something like that.
So the problem with that is not, so you think of Ghost Dog Deli. This will be just their first year.
Right,
They
yeah.
won't have anything
No.
to base it off of. Soul Squared was not in operation for a full year. So there's a couple things that, in order to be able to do that well, I think it would be a guess. I know Estes Park did it that way, but they also have a large staff. Chamber of Commerce ran all their information and they, it was a lot of money that they provided to those businesses. We felt for ease of facilitation to just make it a lump sum, the same for whoever, for the businesses that would be affected on Main Street. Not businesses that are one block down or anything like that, but businesses that would be directly affected on Main Street. I don't know, Nick, do you have any ideas on?
You're absolutely right. The report we get is not,
User
I was
friendly.
thinking, not user friendly.
Correct, no.
We had started to do some initial research into what the sales tax revenue is. It doesn't allow us to track their exact sales. There's also an issue of when businesses file some, because of thresholds within the state can file annual or quarterly. It would take probably significant staff time to create a tracking tool, develop it, get all the data that's needed. But there is the potential. I'm trying to find now, I start where I started this. So
I know I started some too, and I think the other issue could be that not everybody files on time.
Right.
So they could be 2, 3, 4 months in arrears. Some of them sometimes are 6 months in arrears before, and then they'll make one bulk payment.
And that's one idea. Another idea would be an application process where they can come in and say, okay, I got a hardship or something like that.
To that point, Ed, just to add on to that, is I know, I feel very strongly about this. I'll give my total feedback later, but I know businesses on here that said I would be in complete favor of doing something like this, but I personally would not take the money because I don't need it or it wouldn't be applicable to my business. So I like the idea of the eligible businesses of those who are affected, but perhaps in a process to apply for it, those who actually have their need. So not necessarily a blanket check, but I know that I will need this, so I'm accepting it or requesting it.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to figure out how it works.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Yeah,
I like the idea of having money available for those businesses. yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I myself, I see the services in here. I don't necessarily know if they should be part of this or not.
Yeah, we weren't sure either.
Right.
Just in case.
Right. Just mainly because State Farm, I mean, I run my business or ran my business very similar. That wouldn't really impact me, North Pooter. No, and a lot of these.
Not giving any more money to North.
No, you're right. And I would rather see that money going back to the retail businesses that are in there.
These guys are funny.
But the people that really need it, that's gonna lose the walk-in business, that's the ones that we need to make sure that we're protecting at this point.
See, so, and here's my catch is you look at, Trailhead, they are a walk-in where people actually come and do activities and events and stuff like that. So you could very well
We could move
lose
them.
people attending something like that because of the inconvenience of not being able to find parking. People wander in and they want to see services offered to kids and stuff like that. So that one I could see actually being impacted by this.
But we could move that up to the other spot.
But as
Yeah.
far as the other services go, I don't see any here that would definitely lose that foot traffic coming in and items like that or worry about an inconvenience of having to have a virtual meeting compared to coming in and signing a contract for
Sure.
your insurance.
Sure.
This one is always hard for me because I look at it as all the businesses in town all the time. If this is something the whole board supports and says, yes, they want to do, I'm fine with it. I'm not scratch it off and it is what it is kind of thing. I'm comfortable either way, but I would like to see it stay at a set amount per business and have something like you had suggested where it's an application process where if they need it, this is the amount offered. Here you go, kind of thing, but definitely having the businesses identified, but also looking at making sure that the amounts maintain the same. So there is no chance to have someone come back and say, well, they got this and
Sure.
I got this and
Yeah.
have it be a whole thing. So I'm comfortable with however you guys want to pursue it. I would like to see Trailhead bump up because I know that that can impact them. But other than that, I don't see any issues with it.
Okay. Trustee Bailey.
Working with the Main Street Group, they have allocated and spent so much money specifically towards this project and safeguarding businesses. They've been prioritizing this for a very long time. The C3 committee has come together completely organically in order to, and has been months and months towards safeguarding businesses. So this is not a new concept. I'm so glad that it's in front of us. I am a fan of people applying if they need it. Kind of like our HUD grant, kind of the same kind of thing. It is a hardship. It's a hardship that we're implementing on them. But you know, we'll have future benefits for the entire town. But it is a hardship nonetheless, and we've supported our residents through those in the past. So I think it's something that's definitely needed. But giving them money is one thing. Inspiring loyalty is another thing. I will continue to go to these businesses no matter the hike or climb or whatever it takes to get to their doors. I don't care, front entrance, back entrance, climbing over a fence, I'm gonna go there.
Right.
Yeah, because I care about them and I love them. So the way that you inspire habitual use to businesses is, and then you can multiply your money is through get gift cards. And I'm a big fan of gift cards, contests, marketing associated with get downtown, be loyal, do these kind of things. You know, you are awarded a gift card and then they'll go there and spend double the money and use the gift card. Either way, those businesses are not only getting the money, getting extra money and inspiring loyalty. And then it's an opportunity for us to get people excited about going downtown. So whatever we decide to do, I do want to acknowledge, I think the gift card solution is a great idea. Windsor does this all the time, not even during hardships. They get sponsors who buy downtown gift cards. And they're like the Yifty ones like we do that can be used at any business that participates. I don't know how this one would work, but then they give those away as contests and get people to come in the doors and, you know, and learn about new businesses. So I think we need to inspire loyalty. If we're going to use our money, let's make sure we're doing it in a way that it multiplies. Or, you know, serves the company as they see fit, which is the other part of like a grant solution. I don't want to tell them exactly how to use this money. They need to do what they need to do to survive. So I definitely want to support them in this. So I feel so strongly about this. I've heard about this from so many different groups that are really, really considerate and scared for downtown businesses. I support it fully.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Trustee Miller.
Yeah, I can see how this could be beneficial. I do think that an application process would probably just help us streamline. I would love to just be able to sit with this for a minute and like, I don't know, come back and I'll have more thoughts like next time, but
Sure.
I just don't know how, like, I don't know. It's nice of us to do, but I feel like, is this even enough or is this the right thing? Like, this is the first time I'm seeing it. So I'm not bought in 100%.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, haven't heard from you yet?
Well, let's see, I do share some of the same concerns, especially in regards to gift cards and that sort of thing. I mean, obviously, it can't just be like a prepaid gift card, because we need to make sure that it goes to those businesses specifically. I wouldn't want to see somebody get a gift card and then spend it on Amazon or something. That's not helpful to anybody. So, that would be my major concern about gift cards. I like the idea. Certainly we need to do something for these businesses because they are absolutely going to be impacted. So, as an initial draft, I like what I see here. Yeah, I have no issues with it at this point, but.
Just so you know, the 30,000, for the business support is roughly 1% of the annual sales. So 24 annual sales estimate was, about 3.9 million. It was a little less than 1%.
Are you asking for us for an option? I noticed there's 4 options here. Is that or does it matter?
Doesn't matter as much as it's
At
just
this-
the amount.
The total
Yeah, this
amount.
point is it the support, and then we'll work it down as we go through.
Got it.
I mean, that's kind of like where I'm coming from. Is this even enough? Like, if you look at what they're gonna lose potentially throughout the entire year, is this enough? And it's saying, here's $1,600. Like, I don't know that that's doing them justice.
Well, we're not the savior. The
Yeah.
town is not the savior.
I realize that. I'm not trying to save everyone. I'm just saying, like, comparatively to what they're going to lose, like, is this enough?
Well,
So looking at, we just did this more just like, what does 30,000 get you? So this is not like exactly how it should be, just examples. The shop incentive type of program, another way you could do it is have people upload their receipts to verify current purchases downtown. So it's saying you have to go downtown first, then I want to see your receipt, then you'll be eligible to then spend it. I know Loveland's doing that right now. So there could be a lot of different ways to work with it where we are saying like, you don't just get it just walking down the street. Could be some other ways that maybe bump that up a lot more. So now we're saying like, yes, do go. And like, then you can help the businesses where they say like, hey, if you shopped at our place, there's a lot of different ways to do it too. So
Show me your receipt.
yeah, exactly. So
Or one of
kinda
those
just wanted to-
passport kind of things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Where, you go to how many places this time and you earn like a gift card instead of like a BOGA or, or all of the above, who knows? Like, there's a lot of ways that could be done to drive people into the business.
Yeah, I mean, all those ideas sound amazing. I guess that's where I'm at, is like,
This is a.
how can we do it to maximize the impact?
So
Not
yeah.
trying to replace
Is
the
it-
whole
is
3
it-
million, just saying.
anything additional?
No, yeah, it is a little additional. I don't want to tell anybody how to do this. I don't tell the businesses how to do this. But what I do want to say is, we've still got a couple more months of budget planning. We don't know where revenues are. We've already added a bit with economic development on here. I think this is a topic that we can come back to,
Absolutely.
especially after middle of October when we submit the draft budget here. Once we get things fine tuned, we may want to come back to that and say, okay, guess what? There's an extra, extra $20,000 that
Yeah,
we
this
might
is-
can throw into this. And, and that addresses a lot of some of your concerns, because I don't know if 30,000, I don't know if $1,610 will help a specific business, over an 8 or 9 month period. You break that out, it's $100 a month or something. Yeah, so.
Yeah, and we just put together a number that sounded midway.
This is a good earmark.
Astronomical, not
Yeah.
low,
A
but-
great
Absolutely.
place to start,
Yeah.
just like with anything with a budget, we'll keep narrowing it down.
Perfect.
Cool. And then, your concerns on gift cards or whatnot, but
I-
this just came up in my mind.
Staff's got it, but,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
no worries, no worries. I did want to add, I also agree that it should be an application process. That's
Yeah,
right.
agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Got that.
Okay.
So we will bring that back to you. We'll see how revenues store up and see what we can come up with. Okay. Is there any other questions on the legislative budget?
we did increase hardship utility grant funds. Slight decrease in board discretionary funds. It doesn't completely offset it. But it does net a $8,000 increase overall between the two.
Okay.
Good.
Perfect.
Next is judicial. Not a whole lot of change in judicial.
Nope.
Nope, okay. You have any questions on judicial?
No questions on judicial.
Fantastic.
We'll move into administration. I know there's gonna be some more comments, but just wanted to make sure we point out the board, priorities, 61,000 for professional services, 110,000 for home rule. And one thing you'll see throughout this document, is gonna be mileage reimbursement. So I don't know when, but at some point mileage reimbursement was dropped from, the budget in several departments. And we are required, if a employee uses a vehicle, their personal vehicle, within the course of their normal duties, we reimburse that mileage. We do have town vehicles available, and mileage for like your travel mileage to and from the airport for professional development is captured separately. So we've just reintroduced this to make sure we are compliant. So, and one other thing, the grant program expenditures, you'll see this in a couple departments as well. The grant program expenditures is where we record expenditures that are offset by grants. So for this example, the $40,000 in 2025 was a Comcast grant that we knew we were receiving. So we record the grant as revenue, and the expenditures, which happen to be for this room, are recorded here. That way we can show that they are offsetting. You'll see it in library specific.
Thank you. Questions on administration? No. Okay, thank you.
All right, next we go into finance. So just some small changes here, printing budget books and audit books, audit binders, did cause that to go up a little bit. The CRSA increase, we included the full amount that Stephanie showed while it's still being reviewed. So that's part of that 17.8% increase in insurance and bonds. The 2025 end of year estimate for accounting and auditing is definitely over the $45,000 budget because of the timing. We anticipated the 22 audit to be right here. 22 audit to be completed when we were doing the budget last year. We thought that was going to be done by year end, and it was done very beginning of this year. So that's what caused that. We will only have one audit with a single audit since there were federal funds expended in 2026. So that's what's been budgeted for there. And in professional services, we are going to continue to retain Don Rose as the consultant. We have Troy Vernberg as a municipal advisor. So that's what's included there.
How long do you plan on keeping Don?
So Don provides services that the department doesn't have the bandwidth or really ability to handle. So it's going to be the end of year. Mostly it's your AP accruals, it's your getting everything ready for the auditor. And until the department can grow, we would need some sort of consultant. We've continued to keep Don for consistency because he's been a great asset to the town board for finance. There are other, like Cassell actually offers a service. So there are other services could look at should the cost become prohibitive.
Thank you.
I have so many questions. Actually, I don't. Just one. What is overshort at the bottom, the line item, the 201-14-9660?
It's a fun GL that we're able to, so we primarily banking transactions.
Over and short.
Yeah, so you'll see in 2024, there's a $17,000 expense. Those were fraudulent transactions on our bank account, that we had to show that expense, that money had gone out of our bank account. So we recorded it there, but you'll see in 2025, we actually recovered that full 17,380. So the bank ended up reimbursing those charges. And then there's little things here and there. Sometimes we have a fee that wasn't budgeted for, we'll stick it a small fee. I did increase the bank service charges, which we didn't budget for in 2025, so that we could add protections like positive pay, so to prevent these fraudulent types of transactions from happening. So it's not a slush fund. We don't budget to use it. It's a way for us to record small transactions.
Got it. That was honestly my only question. So,
Any other questions on the plan?
Other questions?
Thank you for answering mine yesterday.
No further questions. Okay.
All right. Moving to clerk, and Hannah is not with us, but Patty does have
No,
notes with us.
if you have any questions. You'll see the election expenses, has gone up. The largest expense is the ballots and the renting of the tabulation machines. Professional development is up a little bit. Because we've invested in Laserfish, they do have a conference and she has requested to attend that conference, in 2026, which makes sense. So
Does your election expense include maybe the election, a special election for the home rule?
it includes 2 elections that no.
If the
So
home
I
rule
think-
one is in its own expense
Mhm.
item or home.
And then
Right.
hopefully another one is in alignment with either, there's 45,000 for local election and then 15,000 for the county.
Two. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
The 45 is the April.
Yep.
election.
Yeah.
Any questions?
No.
Cool.
So we'll move into HR. We do want to point out, we do have a reduction in employee relations. And we did introduce mileage reimbursement, and of course, Director Anderson is here. Any questions?
the professional fees on this one, it was a 440% increase.
So like I mentioned earlier, we are gonna do a compensation study is what we're planning to do this year. We did get that, the estimate for it was just over $21,000. So we do that every 2 years, so you will see that we spent that money similarly back in 2024.
Perfect. That was my only question.
No further questions? Nope. Thank you.
Information technology. There's been a lot of changes with our information technology, thanks in large part to that man over there. Wow. You see how all of us are sitting? Mr. Diaz has done a great job of assessing the current status of our expenses to internet for phones, consolidating licenses. So you'll see there's been several reductions. There are also now with a person in this role, there've been a couple increases like equipment and professional development. But it's been a big positive impact with that.
Yes, absolutely.
So any questions for Mr. Diaz?
No questions. Okay.
All right, so now we're into planning. Mr. Bird is with us, Director Bird. You'll notice that some big reductions like building inspection fee remittance, that's because of a decrease in projected of building. So less building permits, less inspection, means we're not paying as much. That is also going to impact revenues though. So you'll see the revenues for those building permits have gone down as well. So.
Questions there?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
So LCSO, this is based off of their current contract, with a, small COLA increase that's coming from the county. It does not take into consideration any additional positions that have been discussed. However, we'll hold up on addressing this more until the September 30th special work session, in which Larimer County will be, LCSO will be present to discuss the contract and the budget. All right, and then Public Works Administration. Relatively flat overall. Just some small increases. And a lot of decreases. I'll also point out, one of the things, now that the finance department, specifically our controller, Patty Lundy here, has been with the department coming up on a year, we've been able to really refine a lot of these numbers. So where previously we're finding that maybe a utility bill was paid from the wrong department or wrong line item. We've got some great controls in place to make sure that we're actually accounting for items in the right GLs. So our requested budgets have started to really just hone in on using better data.
Questions?
Good job, Patty.
Yeah.
She loves public recognition. I'm gonna take it tomorrow. No questions, cemetery.
Nope.
I guess the one big one is that there was a survey budgeted. We're moving the survey, as well as a larger project to CIP.
Okay.
So it's not completed this year, and it's not in the operating budget for next year, because it's gonna be a delay. That we'll be sharing. All right, so town, community, and administrative facilities. You'll notice a couple big jumps, electricity, but also a big decrease in natural gas. This is where I was kind of really going with, making sure things are paid out of the right GL. So we budgeted 32,000 for electricity and gas in 2025. Our end of year estimate combined is 25,000. So we've actually reduced that budget and more accurately recorded where those budgets are for electricity and natural gas. Also trash, you'll notice that a large decrease, and that's two reasons. One, we recently completed, or we're completing a request for quotes for new trash service at our facilities. And the enterprise funds will be carrying their own trash expense. So where everything was pooled, now properly allocated to the funds. So.
Questions? No? Good.
Economic development, we've covered pretty extensively. Again, we've added the grant expenditures. It's green because I just renamed it, and this was a way for me to remember to do it in the system. The MSP administration, that's the Main Street program. So these are expenses that are paid for typically by DOLA, but we do it on like a P card. So when Caitlin travels to the conference, there's some expenses incurred, then we get reimbursed by Dole. Questions? No. All right, so the library, you'll see that there's a, internet service, that's just because it's been consolidated in FXB. So, making sure that everything under the general fund is tracked in IT. And the grant program expenditures decrease was, due to a loss of a grant. So this is where we would have offsetting revenues, since we're not gonna have that revenues, there's not gonna be correlating expenditures. And we have, our library, great library director, Ross here with us, Mr. Lajeunesse. Is there any questions?
I have a lot.
Let him,
Just let him.
Any questions from the board?
No.
I do have a question.
oh, yeah.
For your program, so it's not often that I actually will request an increase to funding, but I have received a massive amount of feedback on your summer programs that you do. And there are a lot of families that utilize the programs that you guys put on with the public library. Is there anything additional, because this is actually filling space for homeschool families, and so it benefits a massive amount of people. Is there any other programs that could be brought in to assist even on off summer areas where you're actually doing events during the week in winter, fall, stuff like that?
I just want to make sure we do programming all year.
Uh-huh.
Are you asking?
Additional.
Give us more money for programs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Is there additional options available that you could have more programs during the non-summer and
Well, we do have
add to
consistent
them?
You're fine.
We have consistent programming throughout the year.
Right.
Now we go into our fall programming.
Mhm.
So this is the whole thing where we've now come on, like, we need to be transparent. So we created a programs line. This is our programming. So
Mhm.
funneling everything through there.
So if you had.
But our
more-
summer reading program is part of that program, and we did increase it last year because our numbers are up. And we
Mhm.
do realize that we kind
Are a
of
lot
support
busier.
quite a few
Mhm.
people with these programs. But we do have programs throughout the entire year.
Yeah, no, I know that, but is there, if you had additional funding, could you offer
Reach
more?
more people.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's always the balance. Yeah, that's always the balance. That's why kind of I'm asking for a little bit more seasonal dollars. So that, because for these programs, often they're offsites, but we're closer to businesses.
Mhm.
I have a rule that there has to be 2 to 3 staff members there. So then, you're paying also for that. So I'm trying to offset. I guess I'm not fully understanding.
I want to offer
Yeah, well,
programs
I'm-
available.
We did lose some funding through IMLS through federal
Right.
programs, so that's kind of hard, so I'm trying to fill that in other manners. With other hopeful grants, so,
The
So
loss
that's
was.
kind of
What you,
That's what I'm curious on, is if
Can we offset the loss of the grant by
Correct.
increasing?
By
the money for
increasing.
Programming or?
Yeah,
and it's more targeting like homeschool,
well, everybody,
Right,
anybody,
but homeschool's gonna be a big part of that.
right,
If they want to be.
yeah.
right.
Can I throw it in just a
Yeah,
suggestion?
let's hear it.
The grant was roughly $5,000 that was lost, to $6,000 that was lost. Could, Ross take some time to outline?
Figure out how to allocate it best.
Where he could add $6,000 in other GLs and paying attention to programming options that might be.
Right, yes, that's kind of what I'm curious about. I would like to see, yeah.
Across the board. good.
I'm super glad that you brought that up. I feel like every time I hear you speak, you're like asking for exactly what you need and like no more. But like, there's so much more you could do. And
He's gonna ask for a new library. Be careful.
well, I mean.
I'm off traditional programming.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm a thumbs up.
Okay,
No, it's just,
Yeah,
it's
I-
been a huge thing that I have know more and more people come up and say that it's nice to have those additional
Yeah.
things available. And that's one thing, you know, when we're talking about having more availability of things for parents that do stay home, that do homeschool, or even grandparents that have grandkids that they're babysitting. I had a grandparent specifically reach out. They utilize your program because they watch their grandkid to help offset the cost of daycare. So, and that like half-hour break for the grandparent is amazing. So they can sit back, kiddos get to interact, but they're also getting that additional support and meeting other family members that possibly are doing the exact same thing for kids and grandkids. So it was just something where I had had a grandparent specifically reach out and say, hey, we would love to see more that we can actually take our kids to. So that's just one of those questions, and
Well, that's
seeing that
great
you
because-
lost
so-
funding.
Because of transparency,
You and I.
You guys will chat.
You guys will get
Okay.
together, you'll bring back next
Yeah.
time and talk.
Cause there's options with programming, with story time, with special events, like that could serve multiple needs
Right.
that that grant, the loss of that grant,
You could fill in.
Well, I would just to throw it out there, I would just propose maybe the board, just food for thought. We take 5,000 out of the board discretionary fund, shove it over to the library. We've already increased the hardship utility grant quite a bit, so I would say take 5,000 out of the discretionary fund and toss it.
Well, let's let.
Yeah.
Let's.
Yeah, yeah.
Preliminary,
Yeah.
does that capture the?
It does.
extent? Okay.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
You mentioned briefly the seasonal, which is going up from 20,000 to 30,000. What are those funds for?
alright.
The seasonal funds. The seasonal funds. What are those used for?
So in the past, we have on occasion hired a seasonal. I don't typically use the whole thing. If we have a need for when our programming increases, or I launch a literacy program for homeschool students, then we will hire someone during the summer. We have 4 or 5 part-time employees that are 20 hours a week.
Mhm.
It can be hard to bridge and make sure that
This is for bandwidth.
it's for
Mhm.
bandwidth, yeah.
Okay, that's what I want to know. It's for personnel.
So
Thank you.
I'm looking at developing some programs and I thought, okay, these seasonals could help because now we've created a program with CSU and doing internships.
I was a little confused because you brought up seasonal when she was talking about programming. I'm like, okay, so you're putting more money, is that for seasonal programming? But you're talking about just seasonal people, seasonal help. Thank you for clearing that up.
Okay. We're good on this.
Yeah.
Use anyone.
Oh,
I was
good.
just-
You're good. I thought, no.
I was tracking.
Great.
Okay, we'll make sure to highlight those, what those increases are when we come back with them.
Thank you.
Perfect.
All right, so street fund. One of the big ones you'll see throughout the like street and the enterprise funds is gonna be electricity. I know I talked a little bit about it before. Another part of this is that electric rates are going up. As of 2 days ago. We don't know. So when we originally did this, we budgeted a 3.5% increase in electricity expenses. And as of a couple days ago, the US Energy Information Administration on September 4th is now forecasting an 8% electricity price increase for next year. So we wanted to plan for that. Excel has also changed their pricing.
Yes.
And considering that many of our buildings are open during peak hours,
Gotta
that
go flat
has,
rate.
what?
Do you go flat rate? Is that where you're getting at?
No, it's just that because of the way they've changed their pricing, it's impacting our.
You're talking about the time of use.
Cause that
stuff?
is it.
Can we opt out of that?
Like,
as a
opt out
municipality?
as a resident, you can choose to be flat rate or peak. I don't know what it looks like for commercial use.
I will do some research.
Yeah.
And we do have a wonderful public works team here that could answer questions on street fund.
Any questions?
No question.
Dump the engineer if you don't want to do it.
Okay.
Name 7 small tools. I'm just kidding.
They're out there doing it right now.
I do have a question. We're talking about the electricity and I imagine it's gonna pop up in a lot of different places. Have we ever thought about doing some solar for the town?
Or a wind farm perhaps.
We have,
Yeah.
we have.
Let's go.
Unfortunately, there's been a giant loss of funding for a program that related to that recently.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have some property that we've been looking at. I mean, essentially at the reclamation facility, our largest electrical user in town. We have considered, Nathan went so far as to do some research on pricing. We at one point had it in the CIP for a few years out. We're not looking at CIP yet, that comes later, but I just don't know that it's gonna be cost effective for us to try and do it until there's perhaps a different
Incentive.
federal incentive structure.
But one thing about, at least that's locking the usage, I think. In pretty stable. Well, it's even like with my house. I got the electrical on it. Everybody else's is going crazy out there as far as cost on the electricity. Mine's pretty much consistent. So, and it's because I got the solar on it. So it might be something we want to think about down the road at least.
This brings to Billy that, I mean, an 8% electric increase at the recreation facility is close to $20,000.
Right.
I'll take your $5,000.
I don't know. 20 to $70,000 is a bit different than a $5,000 kids program.
To your point, trustee Weaver, that there could be a drive to pursue that.
Mhm.
Really, an 8+% increases.
Right.
I know there's multiple municipalities that are installing them right now. The solar options, it is expensive, but at the same time, you own your power after that. Not always consistent depending on snow landing on the panels, how much you're charging, replacing panels after time hail damage.
That's why you got insurance.
It would require a grant or some sort of supplement to help us offset that cost. But yeah, I mean.
I wonder, can we research and see if there's any grants available?
We've done some research on, but
We can look into it again. It's fairly common, especially at small municipal wastewater facilities, because those are just huge power users. We can do some research, but from my understanding, a lot of the cost effect, like the upfront costs were always offset by the incentives, the federal incentives. And most of those federal incentives are going away at the end of this year.
At the end
Where
of
they're
this
doing
year.
it now.
At the end of this.
You still have time.
Yeah. I'll see you guys later. So, yeah, we can do some research into it, but yeah, you said we had it in our sort of draft CIP and this.
Thank you.
Steering us back to street fund, any other questions on that? All right, move them to water fund. So as previously said, we've added the trash. We've also added a R&M for Nano and Wells. This was split out, so it's not just, we have the two treatment facilities. We have the big treatment facility, and then we have the Nano. So splitting this out allows for a better transparency to see what the R&M costs are for each of those facilities. The online utility bill pay fees, those look like they're going up pretty significant. We are actually, as of October 1st, switching our payment processor within Express Bill Pay. So I do hope that this is going to go down significantly. There's not gonna be any difference on
Changing the
the
processing fees.
processing fees, but not on utility payments. So that, what I'm hoping is that the, that the expense of processing fees will go down. So, and we're also going to be recovering processing fees on building permits and non-utility payments that are taken. But the experience for the end user, the resident, is not gonna change, so. It's still done in Express Bill Pay, it's just how it's processed on the backside.
Sludge removal.
Yeah, actually, that was, I just was starting to stand up because I wanted to come highlight.
I think it's a huge, it is a huge thing to be able to.
Yeah, and that's specifically related to new plant processes. So with the benefit of the new facility that we have online, and new drying beds that we have in place, and just the new operations altogether. So it's a giant cost savings in that area.
I'm sorry, give the numbers really quick, just in case somebody's watching online and they're not looking at the annual.
Yeah, we
the
went from
actual-
budgeting 125,000 in 2025 to 10,000 for 2026. So it's a 90+% reduction.
Which is amazing.
Do you want $100,000?
No,
Just kidding.
Can't take money out of an enterprise fund. and put it in- Come on, you should know that, but nice try though.
Couple of other, you'll see in both the water fund and the wastewater fund, pretty significant increases in this line item. I think it's called propane. In the water, because we have propane delivered at the reclamation facility. It's our Black Hills Energy natural gas. With the larger buildings, more heating required, increased costs. Those line items have gone up quite a bit, even more in the reclamation fund than the water fund. But 20% increase is a lot for natural gas, propane in that case. We're also have seen a decrease in water testing. We were able to, one of the big ones was the geosmin testing that we're doing on a pretty regular basis. The City of Fort Collins Water Quality Lab is able to do those tests now. And we've been taking them there, and it's a giant cost savings.
Sure.
To ship them to Texas. They're very expensive, and it's so much easier, just convenience and everything, but a significant cost savings there as well. I know everybody wants to get down there to 5593. Down there towards the bottom of North Cooter. So I do just want to update sort of where that end of year estimate is coming from for 25. This is a refinement, of course. At this time of the year, we have a pretty good estimate of how the volume that we anticipate using in total out of Reservoir 3, which is probably about 850 acre feet this year, probably on the lower side of that. The other big deal is that we were able to utilize 185 acre feet of our owned water this year for the first time. So that's a couple $100,000 in savings. And then, of course, the interest rate that was originally used to budget for 25 is lower now. And that number, I think it will come in even lower depending on what happens tomorrow, I would guess. That could drop another $50,000 to $100,000. So a 1/4% interest drop is probably a $60,000 impact. So, at this point, we're budgeting for 2026 on a current status basis, because and we will get into more of that next week. But that is the estimate for next year, assuming a slightly more reserved volume. As Trustee Teets pointed out before, we have reduced historically, we were budgeting at like about 1,000 acre feet. We're really not hitting that. Even with, I think, a drought situation, we probably wouldn't. And then also with interest rates having come down a little bit, so we're able to kind of bring down what those next year pricing looks like. And also knowing that we'll be using our own share ownership as well. In addition to that, I think the interest rate will be better next year.
Yes.
Are there any questions otherwise in the water fund?
outstanding job.
Awesome.
No.
It is expected that that's in interest rates, percent. With another one.
Beautiful.
Sewer fund.
So sewer, if you don't mind.
No.
Go ahead.
By all means.
Sewer fund, a couple of things I'd like to point out. I'm working with Mr. Flores, our superintendent, over the next couple of weeks. I think when you see this budget next time, you will see you'll see a decrease in the overall operations budget. As you can see, there's a 5% year-over-year increase. Our goal is to see if we can't bring that down to a net neutral from 25 to 26 at least. We are still learning the new facilities. So up there at the top under the chemical line item, we're still honing in on some of the operations just in the last 2 weeks. They've identified new ways to operate their influent pumps. Maybe I don't want to get into a lot of it, but the influent pump station that puts more BOD in the digesters or in the A basin for a more efficient reaction. If they're able to get their nitrates down, they don't need as much chemicals. So we're kind of hoping that that 85,000 number can come down some. But as you can see, we are expecting to kind of blow out our chemical budget this year. As there has been a great deal more chemical use, glycerin in particular, and it's pretty pricey. This is the giant natural gas increase. There's a lot more buildings on site and they are much bigger. Also, in particular, I will say that, and I probably shouldn't have ended this, but when we were budgeting for 25, we were thinking through, and this was just a failure on my part, that the new heaters, a lot of them were electrical, but they were actually gas. That's part of why that didn't get caught. And so 25s, we anticipate coming in under the electrical budget in 25 because we budgeted for higher than we necessarily needed to, and we under budgeted the natural gas, so it leveled off there. But and then we do have it's not all that much money, but it shows as a $500,000. There'll be a couple of changes. There's some end of year expenditures that have come up since this was put in that are not captured in here. So 25 end of year is actually going to go up by probably 50,000 on top of this. What you see here, it will still be under budget. And then, yeah, we have some equipment rental that we're going to need to do next year.
Questions? No questions?
Good.
All right. Move in to drainage and turn it over to Nate. Can I just ask if there are any questions? Yeah, I just wanted to see if you were as prepared as she was.
Shots fired.
I believe someone just asked me for my notes.
There was a buzz, and everybody wrote each other under it.
Yeah. Oh,
That's awesome. Oh my goodness.
I mean, I guess I don't know of any highlights on this one. If y'all have any questions,
Pretty simple.
fire away.
Questions?
No questions.
Thank you, Nathan.
Excellent.
Handled like. Handled it like.
All right, and then moving into our last fund, the park fund, which just covered parks and recreation. As already discussed, the seasonals have been combined from 2 funds into just the park fund, allows for more flexibility. And it's really kind of a limitation within our payroll software. So we've also increased vandalism budget, so this would be anything that's not covered by insurance, can be more your small things. There is also in this budget an insurance deductible of 5,000. So that if the bigger things like the slide, the insurance deductible to repair the slide did come out of that. And toilet rental, this was also, so our current toilet rental provider has let us know they're not able to meet our service expectations. So this was a part of the RFQ, it was a separate RFQ, but went with, at the same time as trash. We are looking at a pretty substantial, increase, but it's going to be, comes with great municipal references, and that'll be coming, in front of the board through a consent agenda item in a few weeks. So it's looking more about 30,750, but where you see an increase on that. Any
Questions?
questions for?
I do.
Sure.
Storm drainage at 180%.
That's
Nope.
5346.
The storm drainage, is that not like regular storm drains,
So-
correct?
That's
Ma-
our, it's the utility bill. So there's utilities, bills, parks for,
They're great.
water, sewer, and storm.
Okay.
What I come to find out last year is that whether or not those bills got paid was questionable over time. So we did catch all of those bills, the town's bills up. And this is a better work, this is a more reliable, anticipated expense. That's also Town of Wellington storm drainage and, the authority storm drainage. Walks over, yeah.
Got it. Perfect. That was it.
No further questions?
Okay. Recreation. I do think on recreation under insurance deductible, there's not any 2025 end of year estimate. The slide in my spreadsheet, which is just Excel, it's not the actual accounting. The slide deductible got recorded twice.
Okay. Questions? No questions?
All right,
That's it.
that is the end of the operating. Next week. Budget related, next week, we will, have the fee schedule. Which will be a action item. And then on September 30th, which is a special work session. We'll be reviewing the financial management policy, the 2026. Budget capital improvement projects and LCSO's budget presentation.
Perfect.
We'll also
That's
be
a wrap.
talking about 4th of July video options.
Oh, yes.
Yes, on the 30th. That should be exciting.
If I'm not able to zoom in, can I just submit comments to you or,
Yes, please.
Yeah, you can send those to me if you're not gonna bring them up.
no, I'm listening to you.
I was thinking it would be-
Yeah.
I just want to say one thing, I've been so impressed with everything staff has been doing. For the year and a half that I've been on this board. I mean, you look at these two major projects that we did, the water, the wastewater plant, look at the money they saved coming in under budget. And that takes a lot of work, a lot of people who care and are trying hard. And I look at this budget estimate and Ross sitting there saying, I don't want to ask for any more money. I just want to applaud staff. You guys are professional. You care deeply about this community, and I hope you understand that we appreciate it so much.
Yeah, They could come in under. what
Under-
the budget was already.
Amen.
Yeah.
They're killing it. Yep, great job. And then.
Yeah.
Really.
Please,
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.